So not too long after the news was released that Auction 108 ended, it's officially over, I started receiving messages not too long after asking, does this fix T-Mobile's overall problem? And it still does not, right? So they had one big issue, which in the white spaces, the rural areas, in some of those counties, they had no 2.5 at all. And in other rural counties, they had very little 2.5, right? Some 60 megahertz, some 80, some even 100, depending, right? So that's what this auction fixed. It mainly fixed rural areas where T-Mobile had little to no 2.5. Now, the biggest issue for T-Mobile remains. They still have to fix the fragmented areas. There are still going to be counties where T-Mobile is not contiguous. And there are still going to be counties where T-Mobile does not own a part of their spectrum. They lease it. So that is something that T-Mobile will have to continuously work on. For one, to get the spectrum contiguous, and two, with time, eventually they would like, of course, to own all of that 2.5 spectrum, outright own it. No more leasing, none of that stuff. They want to own the entire blocks of 2.5. Now, one thing that I'm hearing internally is that potentially sometime in the future, the FCC is looking at consolidating more of that 2.5, which in return is going to play in T-Mobile's favor. It will help them eventually at some point get all of the spectrum contiguous across the entire counties of the United States. That's the end goal, I feel, that eventually T-Mobile wants all 194 megahertz that they can possibly own in every single county to be theirs. That's the ultimate goal. And that's what they're working towards. And this Auction 108 was one step closer to them getting to that point. But like most of you are familiar with by now, it's going to take a lot more. They're going to have to get with some of these third parties, some of these educational boards, some other companies that own the spectrum. They're going to have to get with them, and they're going to have to work out a deal. In some way, shape, or form, that's what they're going to have to do to get all the licensing contiguous and to own it outright without having to lease it back. Because eventually, that spectrum is going to become more lucrative as they have to negotiate with the leasing companies, and they may ask for more money from T-Mobile in the future, right? I know some of the leases don't run out until like 2030, 2035, but time's flying by. So those years and dates are going to come due eventually at some point, and T-Mobile is going to have to act on it, which I think they will, and they have. They do have the financial balance sheet to do so. And, only spending $428 million on this on almost 8,000 licenses, I'm sure most certainly helped them save some money there. So this, just to follow up, like I said, this is a follow-up video. This was a very unique auction, very weird, right? It was the Goldilocks mid-band, as they call it. And bidding was very low. In fact, 145 licenses didn't even get bought. Nobody bought 145 licensing of 2.5 are just floating out there that nobody even bid on. So I fully anticipate that out of the roughly 8,000 licenses that were auctioned, T-Mobile probably got like 92, 93% of them, of that entire auction. That's what I'm highly anticipating. And I think moving forward, it's going to help them remain even more competitive in these rural parts. They're now moving in to those parts where they now bought this spectrum. So now they can compete for the customer, they can compete for home broadband. All of this means more competition, and that's what T-Mobile is looking into. If we're being honest with each other, they still can't financially compete against AT&T and Verizon. They would lose that battle all day long. If we're talking raw financing, if there's anything that needs to be accelerated, a bigger purchase that needs to be made, Verizon and AT&T beat T-Mobile on that all day long. But T-Mobile now is spending their money more strategically, more efficient, and they're looking to hit AT&T and Verizon in other areas where it hurts them, right? Marketing, overall business strategy, retail. I'm hearing that T-Mobile does retail better. They're looking to consolidate there. So there's a lot of there's a lot of things that T-Mobile is trying to do right in order to compete against Verizon and AT&T from an overall aspect. Do I still anticipate that at some point Verizon and AT&T catch and surpass T-Mobile in the network quality and performance on 5G? I do anticipate that. Why? Because they're just spending a lot of money. There's a lot of capital pressure going into this. They are still spending almost double what T-Mobile spends in the same annual year. So you got to take that into consideration when you think about this and you look at it objectively. But like I said, I do expect T-Mobile to continue working more strategic, more efficient, and it will lead to them winning from an overall standpoint. The customer base and everything else, enterprise, business, rural, home broadband, I think it will just all, at some point, it will all come together as one big puzzle, and it'll be in T-Mobile's favor as they move forward as this new merged company. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section down below. I look forward to reading your comments. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe to the channel. Follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.